All right, ladies and gentlemen. So before I put any caps on this or anything, I just wanted to give you guys a brief look at what this looks like inside. So, as you can see, you've got wood and you've got this stuff. Now, it doesn't look like much, but when you look at the rubber that is, and understand, I had to force this to open, then shove pieces in, and then kind of work it and flex it in different directions as I forced it in to get it in this far and use a tool. Highly recommend this, guys. I also just show you some scraps because I spent a fair bit of time trimming to make each piece fit so that they would fit tight, tight, tight once I bow them. And the reason is they actually bow this way. And so when I'm holding it in my hand, I don't want it to damage this and make actual contact, but I also want it to be protected and I want it to leave some room. See, it needs to be able to vibrate. And I learned over time that it being totally surrounded by something will make it vibrate a lot less. But if you put something on one side of it and put something on the other side of it and leave some gaps, it'll actually vibrate better, more freely. And you know what? These work awesome. Not only do they get a lot stronger when you make a riser, but this is not a short riser. I'm going to show you guys a bunch of the bows that I've made. And it's a really simple process, guys. A little bit of wood, an X-Acto blade is all I used to whittle the wood and the various pieces, and a pair of scissors. These are the particular tools that I used. And some paracord for the string. It's a really simple build, you guys. So simple, in fact. Also, I said that this tip, look how worn down this diamond carbide tip is. Barely at all. I mean, it's cut through all of these, and as far as I can see, I could still cut through a equal amount at least, and maybe more. So this turned out to be the bit to use for this kind of stuff. It lets me make precision cuts that come out so clean and sanded that all I have to do is give it a nice go on either side. I was careful, cut straight. I didn't even measure. I just cut it, although that wouldn't be true. I actually did measure the length of each of my risers and check them out. But you'll notice I made them really big. And the reason is I want to lock off each of the limbs and separate them and have a nice straight section in the middle that's fairly big. That's difficult to achieve. But the bigger this piece is, the stronger it'll be, but the more pressure it'll be under. So you have to balance that out. You don't want to make these too big. But how big you make your riser is really up to you. I mean, you know, it's all in your perception of what's too big because this is only 8 just under 8 inch riser. And an 8 inch riser is considered to be a very small riser in the bow community. It's not considered to be an incredibly big riser as a riser, but as a handle, it's considered to be huge. But consider it as a riser, and that I fire off the right side, which means I hold it this way. If you want to fire it off the left side, you just switch it around. It's so nice. These bows are awesome for that. And if you don't care for that style, I'm going to show you some of the others because this is made out of a fairly thick material, as you can see, and it's no joke. This one's got some real poundage. That is not why I don't have a string on it, but I am going to show you some other ones. So just to test the theory, ooh, that was rough. This was the first one I made, and it actually is ambidextrous, as you can see, and it's locked in really nice. And because I put it right in the middle, you can also pretty much flip it up either way and shoot either way if you care to, and it's actually pretty accurate either way. It's a good little bow, but as you can see, it's a short handle, more for a kid hand, but it works great. This is a nice size riser for this diameter, but again, you can see here the diameter is wholly different, and it doesn't look like much really until you look at them from the side, like over top, and then you see a big fat difference, but it's really not that much. I mean, they're both under an inch, so there's that. But I'm going to line some up here for you. and show you. Now this one, I tested it with 30 pounds. Guys, it's 33 pounds at 28 inches, which is great. Actually at 27 and a half, which is awesome. So that's perfect. Now I did at one point show that red stick. All I have to do is trim the caps down on this one, and it's ready to go. And it's sick. I made it out of one of the same rods that I made this one out of, only it has an even longer riser. Check that out. Okay, so this one's just under 8 inches. This one's just under 10. So you can see that that is no joke. And then we got this guy, which came out really well too, and I did a totally different take on the handle. This one I locked into a very thin portion of one that's friction fit at one end and just barely not at the other end, and then I just locked everything in with a combination of wood shims and these shims from this handle. I'll show it to you because it was actually really nice. I mean, it's hard stuff. And that's exactly why I used it, because it's hard enough that once I force it into place and then bow it, it comes out rock solid. But it leaves me in every one of these the ability to move it, which is good because I haven't actually epoxied any of these. And yet they're strong enough and solid enough that you could literally just put this together, go hunt with it, and then take it apart and use it as a tent pole. I mean, it's that. As you can see, this one is uncut. And at full length, oh wait, no, it's not. At full length, they're not that long. Nope, this one's been cut. But I only cut a little off this one, but still, I mean, anytime you cut them, they're getting stronger. And then on top of that, you put a riser on it, and they're getting stronger. And as you can see, this is not an 8-inch riser. It's a 6-inch riser. And this little guy I showed you is basically a 5-inch riser. Okay? So that's how that works. So you got 5, 6, 8, 10 in terms of the risers. And so I'm just going to put these 3 aside. And so what you see here is that I basically made myself a matched set. And while it might not look like it, believe it or not, this is from the same rod as this. They actually came from the exact same hockey stick. And that's how this is. So, knowing that, they are a matched set. And if you look closely at the lettering, you will see that that is the case, which is kind of cool because it makes them a matched pair. And so, I ended up with a nice pair of bows there. And I happen to like that. I love that. In fact, when these two sit together, they make a nice little matched set. So that one stick hockey stick that is, made me 2 bows. Now this one, I have pilfered a bow for another stick for this that I had set aside for my own because I liked. And in the end, I'm glad I waited because my plan as to what I was going to do with that evolved over time. And instead of jumping straight into what I wanted to do, I started experimenting on how I wanted to go about it and what the fit had to be like in the handle, how strong it had to be, how strong the materials had to be so it wouldn't break. One of the great things about this stuff is it's so strong that it works really, really well. Now, I know a lot of guys are putting them into PVC. This is better. It allows it to snap back faster and produce better arrow speeds. This isn't done yet. As you can see, the caps don't quite fit. I just pushed it together and was checking it for poundage and stuff. It's really nice, actually. It came out really good. I'm also breaking in the string and letting the brace height come down is part of that, letting the material break in before I make everything permanent. But like I said, right now I can still slide this up and down, which is one of the reasons I left it like this. Now, this one, I don't know if you guys can see it. In certain light, these have a very neat color to them, and it's weird. Like on camera, you never see it. It just looks orange. But to the eye, it's not. It's red. And then in these lines, is this really cool, like burnt copper color that you see in the light when you look at it. But on camera, I don't see it, which is really weird because to the eye, it looks like, if I can show it to you, those sections actually look really cool. They catch the light and they're quite flashy. And because I shoot this way, it means, but again, you notice I've made this one ambidextrous. And because I've bowed it in the middle, and it truly is exactly perfectly in the middle, the handle is, you can grab it anywhere you like, and when you grab it up top and bow from the top, you have a very accurate shot there. If you were to flip it around and shoot from there, you could still achieve an accurate shot, which is kind of cool as long as you locate your nock correctly and whatnot. So I love this setup. This makes the easiest DIY bow I've ever heard of, guys, that's any good. The rod on its own, I actually don't recommend. One, it vibrates the crap out of the hand. It ends up hurting the hand, and that's not good. Also, they're a bit soft. They have a really long draw length, as you saw with my longbow. I mean, that thing had when I tested it, had a 39.5-inch draw length. Well, that's no good. I don't care if it's 75 pounds or 80 pounds or 100 pounds or 200 pounds at that. If it's only 10 pounds at 25 inches, well, that's no good. If it's only 20 pounds, that's no good. It needs to be 30 pounds at that point, or 25 pounds, and stacking quickly towards 30 pounds so it can be at 30 pounds before we get to 26 inches or 27 inches, so that on a short draw I can pull decent weight. I wanted it more like 40 pounds or 48 pounds at 28 inches, except that my arrows can't handle that. So that's fine. I'm getting close to that, and I've basically dialed it into where I know what the arrows can handle, and I just set up all my bows for that. So you might think, but no. And right now I'm still experimenting, but I could shorten the riser on this, but I'm not sure that I will. Once I put all this together, and lock it in, I actually quite like the size of it. I like a big riser. I also like the other one where it came out an 8-inch riser, but there's a difference. This one is the full length rod, and I wanted to show you guys how you can go about getting roughly the same poundage out of that I will out of this. Now this one's been shortened, but not really. See this? It was broken off, and when I actually measured the two, this was only about an inch off. You can see the edge here of where it really broke. So it broke right about here. Well, it only lost an inch, and because it only lost an inch, there's really not that much difference in length, but it does make a significant difference, you might think, and it does. Every bit makes a difference. You'll notice here's the edge of where it broke, but it's also the edge of this shape. And right at the edge of that, I've made my mark. And on this one, I actually had to go further down, so it lost an inch, like I said. So in the end, this one is a full inch shorter from the point it's strung on each tip. And that makes a bit difference. So it makes it a little stronger, which means theoretically I don't need the same size riser. And an 8-inch riser came out really nice. It gave it a really nice strength. I also decided to put a bigger shelf, and I embedded wood into the shelf to make it a nice smooth shelf that I can shape and adjust, and I like that a lot. That's working really nicely. This one, even though it was out of the experimental shaft that I wasn't going to use because none of us picked it, it's still my favorite one. I love this one. It's epic. It shoots awesome, and it looks really good. It looks way better than I thought it would. It certainly looks better than that. Even this one came out looking really well. And I did build this one with a top and a bottom, and that marks it for me. So there's the bottom of my handle, there's the top, and it kind of means at a quick look I can just pick it up and flip it. I like it because I have a wind towel, and the wind towel will be on top that way. So that's pretty basic stuff, but in the end, I don't recommend anything like this, guys. Those of you who are familiar with my engineering channel will know that I tend to build all kinds of stuff and I experiment. And I told you guys right away from the beginning, I wanted a good longbow. I can't say this ain't that. This is a great longbow if you have really long arrows. If you're looking at 36-inch arrows or 38-inch arrows, yo, this will be a great little bow for you. But for me, I don't have those, and my arrows are nearly 10 inches shorter than what this is made for. So I don't have anything like that. I don't even have 30-inch arrows. My all my bows were set up originally to draw to a minimum of 32 inches because I wanted them to draw the same arrows, and I made a short bow that would fire the same arrows as this one, and I thought I was all smart. I'm like, oh, right on, I got a short bow that'll fire 33-inch arrows. Great. I can get 33-inch arrows. This is set up to fire minimum 32. It'll be perfect. Then I buy my arrows and find out I can't even find 32-inch arrows, and all I can get are 28-inch locally. So I buy the 28-inch and realize right away I got to set up new bows. And so it set me on a new course because even the short bow I had was so weak that I had to cinch it right down and do a very long procedure. The handle's soft, which means at the light tension that it was under when I first built it, it was fine. You guys can see by the darkness there. I've fired this a ton of times, guys. A ton of times. I've tested and tested and tested and tested, and I like it. I mean, I even left myself a little shallow, real stiff shelf there that I can just protect my hand and put the arrow on. It actually works awesome, guys. Love this little bow. Very accurate. It was right away, and then I had to dial it in, and well, since then it's been great. Um, and so, like anything else, if pieces of it move, it's a problem. But in the end, all this stuff took a lot of time just to butcher the glove and to make this and to make that and all this stuff. Then to butcher another glove for the handle to get my thing. Well, I had those gloves discarded. Like I said, they were not like I butchered a pair of gloves. So to me, this was just making use out of what was available to build a good bow. Okay, well, that was 100% success. It's why I'm uploading continually that series. I'm still not done uploading it, but it is finished. And that's one of the reasons I didn't want to finish uploading it, because I wasn't even sure I was going to recommend you guys to build them. And that's why, because look at the handle, it flexes. But I want to, and this is why, because this turned out to be such a good little short bow with these that I want to recommend it. And the reason is I could set this up to fire just about any length arrow you're going to get your hands on. If you've got 28-inch arrows, no problem. 25, no problem. 29, no problem. 35, no problem. I can get you to 33 and a half on this. And it'll be a decent poundage when you do. Light, but still 33, 35 pounds. That's not bad for a little bow like this. And better than that, they have really good solid snap. Now, here's the thing. When you move to shorter arrows and you're trying to get a much better response over a shorter draw, you need to do something other than have this soft handle, which is why these bows, as cool as they are, never get shot. This was built for a purpose that I still can't fulfill. I don't have the arrows for it. This one, I then modified by cinching it down a whole bunch to fire the arrows I did get, and it was a success. I cannot argue, no problem there. But this, made out of the exact same kind of material, only from another company. This one came out pretty strong, okay? Only as you can see, there's no tip on this. That is because I did shorten it by a couple inches, partly to increase its strength. Also, I've locked it in with some wood again, and it worked awesome. It came out so nice, you guys. It's got really good snap. It gives good feet per second. It's a 33-pound bow, the same as that one. Only I had to work and work and work to get that one in the zone, but I didn't. All I had to do was cut that off to make it shorter, put the handle in the middle, and make it a stiff handle that will not bow. And when you look at it, it's in the middle on both sides, which means I pretty much did my job. It's a little closer, but in both cases, it's shimmed off. So it's pretty much perfect. And it fits my hand really nice. And it gives me a nice arrow shelf. I made it ambidextrous, but I shoot off this side. So if you look really closely, it's just slightly biased to the left-hand side. But if you flip it around, same thing. Really closely look, and you'll see that it's just a little off, and you got a bigger shelf there. That way, no matter how I grab my bow and orient it, I have a nice shelf. Kind of cool. I like this a lot, and because it's come out so well, and they do shoot very well, I've decided that this is going to be my actual recommendation. If you guys are going to build a DIY bow, this is the best method I found so far of all of them. don't use PVC. Everybody that I know of in North America has access to a discarded carbon fiber hockey stick. They're everywhere, man. Go look in any garbage can at any arena and you'll find a ton of them. And all you got to do is say, I'll take that and go home. And it's not illegal. You can grab it, go home, cut it to length, choose the length. Bam. Choose the length of rod. Bam. Cheap rod. Bam. Slam in there. All you do is make a wood fitting. Boom. Drill it out to fit the rod. Stuff it down the middle. Stuff the rod in that. Put that stuffed in here. Epoxy that in place. That is the wood block into this. I haven't done that yet, but you should. And then if you make the wood block so it fits perfectly, you might think that's cool. And it is. But widen this out just a little bit. Bevel out the internal of that diameter I did here. I actually made it a little bigger than the diameter so that it has a little room when it bows. Even though it's stiff here, it's going to flex a little bit. And if you don't, it'll crack the wood. But if you bevel it out on both sides, you can get it to work without shattering the wood. I've used a very thin piece here, but you can see the bevel that I've carved into it a little bit there. You can see the shape that it's taken to match that rather than just cracking. That's why. So little things matter, but in the end, a very easy build. Put a piece of paracord on it. This is untreated paracord, guys. I haven't done anything to it. I just put it on and it came out a decent bow right away. Tested it. It's like 33 pounds at 28 inches or whatever, or 27 and a half, sorry. So that's perfect for me because I'm using 28-inch arrows. I draw at most to that. And on average, I draw at 27, 26 and a half, 26 on a light pull. 20, maybe a little less, but right around there on a light pull for me is 26. So that's perfect. This comes out right awesome for firing the 40-pound arrows that I have. So good. I'm so happy with it that I don't want to use anything else or recommend anything else to you guys. This isn't going to get used anymore. Why? This is just as strong while being more comfortable to grab because I like the square shape. They actually, hockey sticks, go figure, are made to grip for the human hand. And it comes to my hand really nicely. And I have, as you can see, it indexed so that the string sits over it very nicely. And from my perspective, that is what you want to see. That string sitting just over to the right like that. Oh, 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 oh. But that's in the tiller, guys. And I can correct that and adjust that and kind of tweak it so that it sits in line. There you go, right there. That's what you want to see, guys. So there's ways to check everything and adjust it, and then you glue it in place and epoxy it, and that's actually what I recommend. I'm actually going to fill this whole area with epoxy to lock it in and put an end cap on it, like you see on this guy here, where you've got the typical end cap that comes in the back of a hockey stick. Yo, while you're at that same said hockey arena, pick up a bunch of those because you're going to need a pair of them. So I recommend you grab a bunch of sticks and you can experiment with different ones in case you want to do what I did and do some experimenting, make a whole bunch, whatever. I mean, you get a batch of rods, you'll get a bunch of them, try a bunch of them, make 3 of them at different lengths with different length risers, and you'll see it makes a huge difference. You'll have a lot of fun. That's essentially what I've done. And they all came out wicked. Every one of them came out just wonderful. And then I had this thinner rod and this one that's right in the middle in between the two. And every one of them has made a wonderful bow done the exact same way. A simple handle. I haven't found a thickness of handle or a thinness of rod that I wasn't able to make work with this method. It's easy. You got drill bits, man. Use them. Size them correctly. That's it. I start with a really small one and then just work my way up one size at a time until it fits perfect and snug. It came out awesome, but I can still slide it up and down so I can fine tune it and adjust it to get my height perfect before I lock it in. They're all like that right now. And there's the other one. So these are the 4 that I've made so far as testers, and every one of these is so good. I got really excited about it and like it, and am going to keep it like this. They look way better than I thought. They function way better than I thought. I knew it would help, but it feels so good in the hand now, and they shoot so nice and predictably compared to soft materials like these that flex a lot. once the handle's really locked in, this rubber is really good at gripping, so it helps keep it from rotating in your hand and helps keep the rod from twisting. It's actually really a nice setup. And from what I'm seeing, of course, the longer the riser is, the more locked in it is. So my general rule is going to be the thicker the rod, the longer the riser. Not so much. It's the longer the bow and the thinner the rod, the longer the riser will need to be to give you decent strength. Now, with this thickness of material and the fact that I did lop off a bit of distance and the fact that it has a decent size handle, but that's only 6 inches, guys. But it's a nice, comfortable 6 inches. It works really well. I likey. It's a good fit for me. It's a nice size bow. As you can see, it's not tiny, but it's very lightweight, but it's comfy. It comes to hand fast and comfortable. It's easy to manipulate. They all are. I mean, these are great. These are the ones I'm going to recommend for my roommates because you can easily pop the string off it, use it as a walking stick. They make a great handle when you throw it as a spear, and they want to use them for fishing, which means in their fishing rod will be a spear fishing setup and a bow fishing setup in the same one. So I kind of told my roommates I was going to give them each one to train with, and I wasn't kidding. I've got their sticks set aside, so they are going to be next. But I'm done experimenting. I know exactly what I want. I know roughly what they want. I know the poundages they want are basically represented here. The ones I want are more represented here, but the arrows I have means I need these too. So we're all pretty much going to be using lighter bows. I like to have the heavier duty ones to train with, but in the end, my arrows just won't support them. They'll explode, and I'm done exploding shafts. I haven't exploded a shaft since I stopped using heavier poundage bows on those arrows, although I have damaged a few nocks. No more exploding shafts, guys. That's good news. Keith out.